Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft Declared franchise mode here in NHL 23. So I am pre-recording this episode ahead of time, so I apologize if there was any comments regarding like how much wins we're going to get and all that type of thing. I more than likely could still put them up here post when I'm editing the video, but obviously I won't be able to read through the comments because obviously I am a little bit ahead of time on this, but I really wanted to get the season simulated because I am just very excited to see what this team could do with the addition of our few new prospects in. As you can see, Avery Perot, or Parrot, as I was saying, Parrot, yeah, Parrot. We got first overall. This guy's going to be probably a stud player. Very excited to see what he could do in his first season. We also did draft a few other good players, not that are in our lineup, except for Moroza, who we got with the second round pick. He's going to be very exciting. He should be a really good shutdown defenseman for us for many years to come, which is nice. And we also did draft Nicholas Cronwall. He's also going to be on our roster this season. Goalie-wise, Carlson's going to get a chance to play finally. We did end up signing him to his ELC. He's going to be the backup to Klessel this season. And yeah, that is basically our team for new players this season. Also, some guys are going to be playing in the AHL right away, like Pierce Hall, Cyrus Ferraro. And on the defensive front, we got Kalinin and Korostin, who are down there. And also Schultz got finally signed to his ELC. He's going to be playing in the minors as well. And Harry Neal, who was our backup last season, who jumped up quite a bit in their overall, is going to be back in the AHL for the season. Just because I want him to get some development this year, and I think playing in the AHL maybe for a year will help with that. And maybe he'll be up to like a 65 at the end of the year, which would be pretty good. So there is that, and that is basically the new additions for our team. First, before we actually get into simulating the season, let's take a look at what our new guys that we drafted look like in terms of facials, because that's always one of the fun things. We're not going to take a look at the AHL guys yet, because I will wait till they get to the NHL club before doing that, just because some of them might never see the light of day. But let's take a look at our first overall pick, Avery Parrot, and see what he looks like. Hopefully he looks pretty cool. And he looks like this, so pretty basic face it looks like. Yeah, pretty basic. Nothing too special. But that's what he looks like, wearing the number 40. Equipment-wise, he's got some pretty cool skates, different colored laces, which is nice. A red jet speed stick, which is kind of cool. Yeah, his skates are probably the coolest part about him right now. And he's got some Sherwood gloves, interesting. So there is Parrot. Then we go on to our next player, which was who? It was none of those guys. Oh yeah, it was. Wait, and it was no more forwards, I guess. That was new. Yeah, it was defenders. Moroza, who was our second round pick. This guy's a big guy, 6'5", 216. I'm very excited to see what this guy could do in terms of being a shutdown defender. But I don't think he's going to have a good plus-minus in the first year, obviously, because we're still a draft glory team overall. But still, this is what he looks like. Looks pretty sick. Probably one of the coolest ones from this draft class so far. We're in the number 37, and nothing too special about his gear, looks like. Pretty basic. So that is Moroza. Then we go on to Nicholas Cronwall, who is already 20 years of age, but we drafted this guy in the third round. He was 19 when we drafted him. He's an offensive defenseman, so should be interesting to see if he could produce offensively on that power play unit. And he doesn't look anything like the real Nicholas Cronwall, but he does have some pretty sick blonde hair, which I do like, so that's pretty nice. In terms of his gear, he also has a different color skate laces, which is interesting, and blue skates that go well with our jerseys, and true gloves and a warrior stick. So there's Cronwall. And our final one to take a look at is our goaltender we drafted a few years ago in Matthias Carlson. Should be interesting to see if he develops into being our starter at some point. But here is what he looks like. Got a nice like curly hair. You'll be able to see it. Pretty basic, but pretty decent. And he's also going to be wearing number 33 this year, looks like. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be wearing number 33 as the backup this year, which is nice. So there is our players, and let's get into the season simulation and see what this team is like. I'm curious on how much wins this team is going to get this year. Last year we got 8 wins. Year before we got 5 wins. Year before that we got 3 wins. This could be the year we get double-digit wins, so we'll see if we're able to do that. Obviously, I will probably show those comments if your guys that say your predictions, if you guys actually had any predictions. And yeah, we'll see if this team could hit double-digit wins for the first time in franchise history. We should definitely be able to score more goals this year, considering now that we have two lines with really good players in a sense. I'm excited to see if Fesserini could produce decently next to Parrott. So 2-6 in the preseason, not too bad. Who led us in points? Frederick Bickle, not a surprise, 12 points in 8 games. He should have won the Calder last year, but we'll see what he could do in his second season. 39 goals last year. Maybe he hits 40 goals this season. I don't think that's totally unrealistic if he scores 40, so we'll see if he scores 40 and if this team could have more than 10 wins. That's my predictions right now. Let's see what happens. Come on, boys. Let's win some games here. First game of the season against the Cup-winning Chicago Blackhawks. We lost in overtime, so at least that's a point to start the season. So that's not bad. But let's see if we get the Eclipse 8 wins. We should be able to, because a lot of our prospects that are in our roster now are getting better. So I feel like we should be able to, but we're kind of off to a terrible start. We have not won a game yet, but maybe we'll win some in a row. Who knows? We're definitely doing a little bit better offensively, looks like. In some games, there's our first win against the Islanders, and then we beat Florida. So there's our first 2-game winning streak, I think, ever. Maybe our second. There's a win over the Sharks. There's our 3rd win of the month, surprisingly. And an 8-7 loss to Vegas, so at least we kept in that game. Hey, we beat Arizona 6-1. Nicely done. That's 4 wins on the year. Good to see our team getting some wins here near the end of the 2025 year. Can we get any more wins? There's a shootout loss, so a point. Come on, boys. Get some more wins, please. Because or else it might not be great. If we win the draft lottery again, we're going to be playing with fire with the salary cap. Hey, we beat Colorado in a shootout and the Rangers in a shootout. We still continue to be a decent shootout team, it seems like. And we beat the Flames 3-1. Yeah, our team is definitely improving. There's another shootout loss, though, against Philadelphia. We're at 7 wins, so we're getting close to being our all-time best. Can we get 3 more wins to get to 10 wins? There's another OT loss. Come on, boys. I want to hit 10 wins this year. I know you guys could do it. Looks like we've been keeping in some of these games that even we've lost in by like 1 goal only. Come on. Let's get another win here. Another loss there. I don't know if we're going to hit 10 wins. We're kind of on a rough spell here. But I mean, we're scoring a lot of goals in these games too. Like, we're scoring over 3 goals a game, it looks like, at some stages. So that's good to see that our offense is at least producing better than it has in the past. Okay. Game against Chicago is a loss. There's another loss. When are we going to get our next win here? Hey, a shootout win against Colorado again. We beat Colorado 2 times in the shootout this year, I think. But we've been to a lot of shootouts this season. 8 wins on the season, so we've tied our best. Can we beat 8 wins? Yes, we can. There's our 9th win. Let's go. Can we get 10, though? Can we get 10? There's a loss, a loss. Come on, guys. We only have a few more games left. Shootout loss. Shootout loss again. And a loss. We do not hit 10 wins this year, but we had a lot of extra frame losses. Shootout losses and OT-wise. And we finished 965-8. So we had points in 17 of our 82 games this year. So we're still improving, it looks like, but unfortunately we do not hit double-digit wins this year. And wow, Jorgensen had 81 points in 82 games. Looks like our top 6 is still doing good. That's great to see, because those guys are going to get a lot of development this year, it looks like. Let's take a look at our team stats first, as obviously we're going to be the worst team in the league, but the question is, are we going to get first overall for the 3rd straight season? The Blackhawks won the President's Trophy after winning the Cup, which is interesting. We only finished 42 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights, so we are improving in that type of category as well. Goals for per game wise, we were the worst offensive team, but not by much. 2.41, so we are scoring more goals now than we used to. We are doing actually pretty good at that, as I would expect with our top 6. Goals against per game wise is where we're still struggling. Definitely need to improve that defense and that goaltending. 4.74 goals against per game. Yikes. Our power play percentage was also not dead last. Let's go. It's the first time our power play has been not the worst in the league. 10.3%, just 0.1% better than the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's go. That's pretty good. Good to see our power play has improved, and our penalty kill was still the worst in the league at 75.4. Once again, no shorthanded goals, but 7 wins on home ice this year. 33 losses and 1 extra frame loss, and then 232 and 7 on the road. So we hung in some of those games on the road, but most of our wins came on home ice. 1-7-2 in our last 10 games. Let's take a look at those player stats. Very excited to see what these are looking like. So Zykov, 80 points in his contract year, so obviously he's going to get a big extension just like Jorgensen. And yeah, very solid stat line. Minus 23 only as well on a drafted glory team after 3 seasons is really impressive, so that's pretty good. 17 power play points as well. Really good face-off numbers again, 54.41%, over 200 hits, and good takeaway numbers as well. So pretty solid third season for Valery Zykov. Avery Parrott, in his rookie season, not the best offensive numbers, 38 points and a minus 56, but I mean, he wasn't playing with that great of players, so maybe if we had him on the top line, he'd do better, but still not terrible, I'd say. Minus 56 is okay. And what is his stats looking like? 51% on the draw, a lot of hits, a lot of an okay amount of block shots, good takeaway numbers. He could still improve, obviously. Not the greatest rookie season, I'd say, by any stretch, but yeah, he's definitely going to be a good player once he gets a little bit better than that. 29 points for Brophy, only a minus 49, so that's pretty good. Jacob Grattan, 18 points. Voinov, 10 points, not bad for a low overall player with barely any potential. Left wing wise, Frederick Bickle hit 78 points in his second season, 43 goals this year, so he is our first ever 40 goal scorer after only 2 years, and he's closing in on point per game. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. He's definitely going to be probably an expensive contract since he's a good goal scorer. He wins faceoffs too when he does take the faceoffs, and his hits are pretty decent. Takeaway numbers are pretty decent. Liking that from Frederick Bickle, up to an 88 overall already. Festerini, 37 points. Big breakout year for Festerini, because last year he had only 13 points. So playing with a better player like Parrott is definitely going to help him out a little bit. And yeah, his numbers are looking pretty okay. I'd say takeaways are looking good. Cox, 19 points, not too bad. Only a minus 40 as well. Right wing wise, Jorgensen, 81 points in 82 games, minus 29. I am glad I signed him to an 8-year extension, even though it could be a little bit iffy down the road. He's looking pretty good. He's been consistently getting better every single year. So going from a minus 126 in year 1 to a minus 29 in year 4, I will definitely take that. And his preseason numbers are still looking pretty good as well. So pretty good stuff from Jorgensen. Sloan, 26 points. Di Nicola, 26 points. Villette, 20 points. Defensively, Nikitin hit 31 points this year. Not bad. Looks like he's going to stay around the 71 overall mark, which is not great, but at least he's producing decently. And his plus-minus was much improved this year, probably because of the offensive level our team had. Cromwell, 16 points, 7 goals. Not bad for a rookie season. Strachan, 13 points, minus 68. Kuznetsov and Larson both had 11 points. And Moroza, 6 goals and 4 assists for the DFD. Not bad. Goaltending wise, Klesla was 644 and 7 with an 881 and a 4.56. Carlson was 322 and 1 with an 877 and a 466. So both goalies pretty similar records and stat lines. Any assists from these goaltenders? Yep, 2 assists in his first season from Matthias Carlson. Not bad. His passing is decent as well, so this guy might be more of an assist man of a goaltender. Like, he has 2 assists in his first season. It's not bad. And only 35 starts. So that is our player stats. Let's take a quick look at the entire league for player stats for fun. So Johnny Gaudreau went off, and he's definitely going to win the Art Ross this season. Most goals this season was Leon Draisaitl with 52. Patrick Kane right behind him with 50 in Vancouver, which is a little bit weird. Best defenseman for points this year, Dougie Hamilton and Charlie McAvoy, 1 and 2. Also Seth Jones up there. Best goaltender this season for wins is going to be Spencer Knight with 43 wins. Most shutouts, Connor Hellebuck. Best save percentage by a starter is going to be Connor Hellebuck. So Connor Hellebuck's likely going to win another Vezina. And goals against per game wise by a starter is Jeremy Swayman and then Connor Hellebuck. Interesting. So there is that. Best rookie this year. Did our rookie win the rookie of the year? No, he did not. Wow. Parrott kind of had a rough rookie season by comparison in a sense, but these teams are a lot better, obviously. Jay McKee had 72 points. This guy was the 4th overall pick. He's going to win the Calder. It looks like back-to-back Seattle picks are going to win Calders. Zach Benson was also up there. Vic Auld, who had a really good rookie season in terms of passing, it looks like. Brandon Yeager was up there. Dvorsky, Zadorov, and then Parrots right there. So there you go on that front. Let's simulate up to the draft lottery results and the awards and all that type of thing and see what happens for this upcoming year. And I mean, it was a successful season, I'd say, in a sense, and hopefully we could just continue to add good prospects to it. I wanted defenseman in this draft, but I don't know if it's worth taking a defenseman first overall if they're not supposed to go to like number 5, though. So we'll see who ends up winning the Stanley Cup in 2025-26. Last year was Chicago, so is it going to be another really weird one? Because I would probably bet on it. It's going to be a weird one. That's my guess. It's going to be a weird Stanley Cup winner. Who is it going to be for the 25-26 season? Should pop up soon. Tampa's fired their head coach. Interesting. And it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, so that's not incredibly unrealistic, but Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup. San Diego wins the AHL, which I think they won it a few years ago in this franchise mode, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at that playoff tree. So Edmonton beat Columbus in the Stanley Cup Finals. Interesting. So there is that. Johnny Gaudreau got to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Oilers. Huh. Interesting. Let's take a look at these awards. So Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup. Chicago won the President's Trophy, and it was Edmonton and Columbus in the Stanley Cup Finals. Individual awards: Johnny Gaudreau, the Art Ross, and the Hart. Seth Jones wins the Norris. Johnny Gaudreau is going to win the Lady Byng. McKee wins the Calder. So yeah, back-to-back awards for Seattle in terms of the Calder, because last year Lowry won it. Leon Draisaitl is going to win the Conn Smythe. And Connor Hellebuyck wins another Vezina. Not a surprise. That's his third in 4 years. Swayman wins the Jennings. Justin Barron's going to win the Bill Masterton. Fernarski for Calgary is going to win the Jack Adams. Barkov wins the Selke. Gaudreau the Lindsay. And Draisaitl the Richard. AHL award-wise, since we actually have players down there in the minors. Anybody for us? Probably not. Yeah, nobody for us. So there is that. And let's see. Let's simulate up to the draft lottery results and see if we win the first overall pick for the 3rd straight season. Or are we going to fall? We are going to fall from 1 to 3. So, I mean, that's okay. Because, I mean, we've had back-to-back first overall picks. And if we have first overall picks all the time, eventually we're going to get into a really bad cap situation. So, I am okay with falling to 3 in this case. And especially with there being a defenseman supposed to go in like number 5, I think. So, there is that. Let's take a look at the retirements for this season. Any big names? Yep, Sidney Crosby's going to retire. Damn. Kopitar, Backstrom, yeah, some big retirements in this year's class. Jonathan Toews also retires already, too. Damn, yeah, this is a big retirement class. A lot of guys, obviously all of us grew up watching, probably. Kevin Shattenkirk retired with Colorado, which is kind of funny, since that's where he started his career, I think. Or actually, no, it was in St. Louis, right? Or no, it was in Colorado, I think, and then he got dealt to St. Louis. But yeah, pretty big retirement class. And Zaitsev retired in Toronto. That's funny. I don't know how he ended up in Toronto, but that's funny as heck. So there is that. Goalie-wise, the best goalie retired: Craig Anderson, Cam Talbot. So some solid goaltenders there as well. So any of them scouts or coaches? Yep, a couple coaches: Paul Stastny, Joe Pavelski, and Anze Kopitar. Interesting. And coach retirement wise, did we lose any coaches? We did not. That's good. Okay. Let's take a look at what the contract situation is like, the prospect pool, or progress reports, I mean, and in the draft class. So who's up for renewal again this year? I showed you guys already before, but wow, Zykov jumped up to a high elite potential. Yikes. Oh, wow, he wants a lot of money. But obviously we could use the 85% trick and knock him down a little bit, or we could qualify him for a year and then knock it down. Obviously, a lot of the rest of these guys are just going to get qualified again, just to knock their asking price down a little bit. So there's all those contracts. Goalie-wise, Klesel needs a contract again, but it looks like he's not getting much development. So there is that. In terms of our progress reports, any good growth this year? Let's see what we got here. Looks like, not that I care about you, Strachan has jumped up to a 68 overall, so that is huge. He was only like a 59, I think, at the start of the year. So Keegan Strachan is going to be probably a mainstay on this defensive core if he keeps growing like that. All natural growth, too. None of it's statistical. So that's huge for our defensive prospects. Jeff Cox also jumped up to a 67, so that's really good, considering I think he was like a 4th rounder, or was he a 5th rounder? I don't even remember. Rosa jumped up to a 69, so that's also really good. A lot of natural growth on him. Nikitin jumped up to a 72. Some statistical, some natural. Jorgensen still an 88. A lot of statistical growth, some natural growth to his poise. Zikov jumped up a lot statistically, but his poise jumped up, and same with his face-off numbers. That's good. But a lot of it was statistical growth, so I don't think he's actually high elite potential, but who knows. Festorini jumped up to a 75. That's also really huge for this team. All natural growth mostly, except for a couple offensive stats. Actually, a lot of statistical growth as well with him, but that's still decent. Sloan jumped up to a 67, so that's some major growth from him too. Looks like a lot of guys are getting good growth this season, which is exactly what we need. Villette went up to a 67, same with Kronwall. Bickle's up to an 85. I'm surprised he didn't jump up more. Most of it's statistical based too. It's kind of surprising considering he's been one of our best players. Parrott jumped up to high elite potential as well, apparently. He's up to an 82 now. And most of it is natural growth for him. Kuznetsov's a 66 at 21, which isn't great, but who knows? Maybe it'll be still something. And yeah, that's basically the growth in the NHL team. AHL-wise, Voinov's up to a 59. Hull's up to a 64, which is really good. He was only a 50 overall. He had, I guess, a good year in the AHL. He had 33 points. It's not too bad. Ferraro jumped up to a 60. Kalina jumped up to a 60. Little up to a 64. Yeah, we're getting really good growth all around. Neal's up to a 66, which is exactly what we need from him. And he had actually an okay season down there in the minors, so it looks like a lot of our prospects are actually developing, which is really much what we need. This is a great time for prospect development. Yeah, look at that. Carlson's up to a 64 only, but decent growth all around. Exactly what the doctor ordered. Final thing, let's take a look at the draft class for this year, since we're drafting 3rd overall. And also take a look at the draft board. So the first overall pick is an American playing in the QMJHL that apparently we don't know anything about. So I don't know if we just don't have a QMJHL scout or what, but there is the first overall pick. Don't know how good this guy is, but obviously we don't have him. He might be a franchise player, who knows. There's also Jackson Kidd, who's supposed to go 2nd overall, but we have 3rd overall, which means Nathan Archer is probably the best option in terms of forwards. He's a grinder, which is interesting, but I don't really know if I want a grinder, especially that high up as well. There's also Gavin McKenna, who looks like he could be a really good winger. What type of player is he? He's a playmaker, so I don't know. And then we have Zikov, who's medium elite 2-way defenseman maybe. Yeah, I'd say Zikov could probably be our pick because he's only supposed to go 1 spot below us potentially, maybe 2 spots. But I think we need a defensive prospect, and Zikov is the perfect bet for that. So I'm going to pin him. I think he might be our pick, to be honest. What do we got for later round picks, though? Because we don't care about the later first round. Is there any steals potentially in late rounds? Like any low elites? Maybe that's guaranteed medium elite? Probably not. Look for low elite. Please be a low elite. We need low elite defenders because I like low elites. Hey, there's a low elite, but it's a 2-way forward, but that's still great for our bottom 6. Dean Schlemko, we'll pin him. There's also Trey Farrell. We'll pin him. Also, Sergei Kostitsyn, that's funny, he's 20 years old. We'll pin him as well because he might be a low elite. Claxon actually looks decent too. We'll pin him. There's definitely maybe some potential for some low elites here to build up our prospect pool even more. There's a guaranteed gem. Interesting. We'll pin him as well because maybe he's a good offensive defenseman. Nice. Any other gems in this draft? No. A lot of busts. Any good goaltending prospects? Not that we really need much of them. Bergqvist. No, this doesn't look like a really great draft for goaltenders. It looks like, in my opinion, yeah, I don't think so. So there is that. I think that's almost it. Let's actually take a look at the draft board. Like I was mentioning, what does the scout recommend us get? One of the 2 forwards, but I would say probably the defenseman's more important. But if we want to get another forward, we could get another centerman and make our center depth even better. There's also McKenna to just make our wingers a little bit better for that second line and whatnot. or we go with the defender and make our defensive core have at least a good prospect in it. We also got Fuji, who's supposed to go in the second round, might be a top 4 defenseman. Seth Roy, or Wall, looks really good. I honestly should pin that guy. He looks like he could be a good prospect for the second round pick. There's also Duchamplain, who might be decent too. Now, some of those guys actually might go in the first round, so we might not be able to get them. This is what it's recommending us for all these rounds. Interesting. Forward depth, what are we looking at so far? Looking decent, I guess. Yeah, just mostly goalie prospects that are strength right now. So I think in next episode, we just basically need to continue working on getting our forward depth better. Obviously, we need to pick up ourselves some good, more defensive prospects just to keep replenishing that core as much as possible. And then obviously, we could always try and find ourselves a goalie prospect if we want to as well. So anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll see you guys next time.